Welcome to the Pay Yourself First podcast. My name is Chris Jolly, and I'm on a mission to financially empower millions of entrepreneurs. I want you to make and keep more money so that you can begin implementing and turbocharging a plan for creating financial freedom your way during the life cycle of your current business without spending a ton of time or becoming a professional investor. You see, most of the financial teachings out there are made for employees, not entrepreneurs. If you wouldn't listen to someone who doesn't have kids about parenting, why take business financial advice from someone without a business? Are you ready to break free of bad advice and follow the trail of other uncommon entrepreneurs so you can get from where you are now to the lifestyle you were aiming to create when you started your business? Then stick around. Here comes another episode of Pay Yourself First, where the only investment we offer is the one you make in yourself. Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. I'm very excited, as I always am, to be here with you once more. We have another amazing entrepreneur on today. His name is Richard Kaye. He's with Top Talent Agency, who does publicity, and he is calling in from Taos, New Mexico. Richard, how are you today?
Outstanding, Chris.
I'm so glad to hear that, and I'm excited to have you on. I know we're going to deliver a lot of value for the audience today, and just can't wait to see what we're going to dive into. So let's go ahead and get started. Tell me a little bit about Top Talent Agency, what it is that you do and who you help.
Wow. What it is we do and how do we help? I want to make a distinction, Chris, because so many people confuse public relations and publicity. PR, public relations, works beautifully. You hire someone to send out press releases, get in touch with people, email. Yes, they even use fax today, phone calls. And you pray to God, someone's going to say, hey, I want to pick up this story. Today happens to be a very busy day in the news. On the day that we are recording this, you'd be lucky to get it and getting anything in. Publicity is, well, Chris, you know the expression, it's not what you know, but who you know. You know that expression, yes?
Yes, I think most people do.
Let's take it to a higher level. It's who knows you. And because of our contacts, our connections, our resources, people come to us. For example, getting people featured in big city newspapers. Ladies and gentlemen, doesn't make a difference what your business is. When you are featured in the press, that speaks volumes. Chris, I'll ask you, have you ever seen a story about someone in the press and say, how the heck they get there? Why not me? Ever happened to you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Well, it's because of who knows you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, you know me, and we can do that. I'm going to give you an example. Bring that home. When I started my chiropractic practice in San Diego, there were 300 chiropractors in town. How the hell do you start or grow any business? We're all in crowded fields. I don't care what you do. We think where you make, you're in a crowded field.
Yeah.
First thing I did was I got an article in the San Diego. That's not true. First thing I did was I got myself invited to the morning television talk show in San Diego. Turned that into being invited back about every month. Then I got featured in the San Diego Tribune. Then I got featured in the Los Angeles Times. Now, let's speak to that. People say, oh, I want a newspaper in my backyard. What difference does it make when I was featured in a newspaper a couple of hours away? That's called leverage. And I'm still leveraging it now. I'm talking about it. Doesn't help my business now. Then, and here is the key point, when it's who knows you. Chris, one day I get a phone call from the producer of the ABC News in San Diego. The essence of the conversation was, who are you? We're seeing you around. We're hearing your name. They didn't know me personally, but I was developing a reputation. That's what you want to do, ladies and gentlemen. Well, now I got a 6:30 news segment about me. That's pretty cool. Then I got a phone call from the producer at PBS. Same kind of conversation. Who are you? Now I got a PBS segment about me. Talk about standing out from the crowd. That's where you grow. Again, doesn't make any difference what kind of business you got. That's how you grow it. And that's the distinction between PR. I didn't send out press releases to them. They reached out to me. That's what we do for you. We get them to call you and say, what do you got? Who are you? And then we teach you how to leverage that.
Awesome, Richard. I really appreciate you making that distinction. Now, can you tell everybody out there how you made the transition from chiropractor
Right.
to the publicity that you now do and what that was like?
I made the transition, Chris. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris, this is either going to make total sense. You're going to think I'm totally wacko. I was meditating one day and I was working with a business growth organization, company some of you may have heard of, IBI, Income Builders International, which is now named CEO Space. It was the biggest business growth conference on the planet at the time. And I'm meditating and I hear, shut your practice and work with entrepreneurs. And I, shit, there's no one there. So the Reader's Digest, the condensed version, Chris, is 3 weeks later, I shut my practice. I already owned 80 acres where I live in Taos. Didn't have time to build, so to build, so bought a home. 3 weeks later, shut my practice and moved out to San Diego and started working with entrepreneurs. So I retired, and because of that download, meditation, whatever you want to call it, my whole life transformed.
Excellent. What are some of the changes that have happened? What is the transformation that you went through?
Yeah, I'm often asked, do I miss practice? Well, in the beginning, I used to say yes, because that was my identity for God knows how many decades. What I don't miss is going into the office on Monday morning, shutting it Thursday night, and having free weekends. You're all entrepreneurs. What's a weekend? You know,
Yeah.
if you take it off, good. If you don't, so, and I say that facetiously. My life is much freer. I can travel. I don't have to reschedule patients. And it's always been in service. Even before chiropractic, I was electronics engineer serving a different segment of society. And as a chiropractor, being in service. And now as an entrepreneur, being retired and just serving entrepreneurs so you can achieve a level of success that you may not even have dreamt of. What would it mean to you to have a best-selling book? Now, people say, there are lots of people say, oh, I'll get your book published. Chris, published simply means make available to the public. That's all it means. Who's going to read it? And I use my wife as a new wife since decades ago. I use my wife as a wonderful metaphor. She's from San Francisco, was living in Cheltenham, England when we met. She writes fairy tales, excuse me, that help kids fall in love, excuse me, that help them fall in love with themselves. Chris, when you meet kids, anyone, when you love yourself, you don't go out and shoot up kids. You don't kill people. She spent over $200,000 invested trying to get her messages out to the world. A couple of different publishers, very little movement. She discovered our company, Top Talent Agency, and the website is toptagency.com. Now she is a best-selling author, not compilation books. She's been in a whole bunch of those, and those are nice. These are her own books. She's got endorsements from, let's see, Jack Canfield, Ornette Bain. Most people don't know he produced and directed What Dreams May Come. She's got about 12 different awards. She's been invited to produce her own television program called Kids Lives Matter. Why am I telling you about my wife, Angela? That's what happens when people say, I've heard about you. I want to know about you. I want to buy your books. I want to buy a product. I want to buy your service. That's why publicity is so freaking important.
Absolutely. And now you work with a lot of entrepreneurs who put out a book and then leverage that to help them get more exposure. Can you explain why that is so important? Because I think so many people have the idea that if I can just write a book or if I can hit the bestseller list, like, I'll make all kinds of money. And I think publishing isn't the game that necessarily it used to be. So, how can entrepreneurs use the written word to kind of leverage their message and get more exposure?
I love your statement that publishing is not what it used to be. I'm going to tell you why, Chris. There are about 7,000 to 7,500 books released every single day.
Wow.
How do you stand out from the crowd? The money is not in the book, unless your name's John Grisham or Michael Connolly. The money is in the business. Now, it's not a money game. We won't take on a client just to publish their book unless it's a vanity product. I just want a book. Well, that's okay. Some people do. The book, and it's not called the lead generator, the book gives you the credibility to go out and say, I've got a book. Different than a compilation book. Lots of people do compilation books, nothing wrong with them. The person who makes the money on a compilation book is the organizer, whether it's Jack Canfield or, myriad people do that. There's a distinction. Our compilation books are free for people because they're our clients who we put in there. What does that get them? Another claim to a best-selling book. So what the book and the publicity does when you go to pitch as a summit producer, a webinar, a stage, you say, hey, this is my book. It's like, whoa, you've taken the time to do that. 33 million books on Amazon. That was last time I looked. It could be 40 by now. I have no idea. Gives you the credibility that you're real. People say, I want New York Times. I don't want Amazon. Amazon is a stepping stone. If you understand the process, and most people don't. I certainly didn't before. When I was practicing chiropractic, I didn't understand the process. When you understand the process and you have the right team and the right people working with you, I just got off a team call. We were talking with a person who wants us to work with him. And I love it. He's totally right brain. My book's 5/8 done. My left brain person would say, what started you? So one of the things we do is we help people ghostwrite. And we do more than that. We're going on a trip to Kenya. We're taking, they're paying, but they go with us to Kenya. And these are some of the bigger things we do. You have a book, we get you featured on the NASDAQ television, interviewed at NASDAQ studio in New York, get you shown on the NASDAQ marquee on Times Square. That's what happens when you work with the right team. So getting published, I mean, it's easy. Chris, you or I could go on Amazon and publish a book. Then what? Maybe your family and friends will read it, and that's a maybe.
Right.
So if you go to one of the big houses, the Randoms, the Putnams, they're going to ask you, what's your marketing budget? They own you for 5 years, or they own the copyright. You, Chris, me, we could go on Amazon. Yeah, we own the copyright. Is the cover design hot enough that someone was going to pick it up off the shelf? My wife and I were in Barnes and Noble yesterday. Yes, we even have one of those in Taos. It was the second day they're open. And God knows how many tens of thousands of books. Most of them you pass by. We split test the covers so that people say, okay, I choose this one. This is the one that really pops off the shelf at me. We get the marketing, we get people on stages. That's beyond what you can do by yourself. Again, anyone can go on Amazon and publish. You meet their criteria, they'll publish it. You want that book to be a bestseller, becomes a stepping stone to more and more publicity. So people say, I choose you. That's the exercise. Oh, and then you have the programmers behind it.
Yeah, I mean, when you go to try to sell a book to publishers these days, they're going to want to know, like you said, your marketing plan. They're going to know what your audience is, what your reach is. It's not like it used to be where you just write a great book and then they'll do all the work and make sure everybody loves it and get it sold.
Right, exactly. Now you got to do the work.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yep.
here's what we tell you. If you have more time than money, I mean, go learn anything on Amazon, on Google these days. If you have more money than time, and by the way, if you lack the skills, come to us. We are the team that works with you. For example, the president of the company, Chris, you may have heard of Guerrilla Marketing, J. Conrad Levinson. They sold 26 million books. President of our company, David T. Fagan, he was CEO of Guerrilla Marketing. Now, David's really clear. He says, I didn't sell 26 million books, but we did as a company. I'd want that powerhouse behind me if I wanted my book out. And that's why my wife and I work within our company to get this stuff out there and getting published in newspapers. That's easier. And that's a big deal. You'll leverage that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, now let me ask you though, Richard, for people who either do have more time than they have money, or just aren't at a position yet where they're ready to work with somebody like yourself, what can they do to kind of up their publicity game on their own?
I'm going to give you later, I'll give it to you now, a link about how to leverage, and then I'm going to work back from there. So the link is richardkaye.com/leverage, richardkaye.com/leverage. No matter what you've got, you must leverage it. I'm going to give you a real world example. Both my wife and I were blown away when we were notified that we won the White House Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. I mean, that's like, really? Every email I send out, that's part of my signature line. You leverage it. So people look at it and say, well, that's pretty cool. We get people awards, by the way. If you don't have anything, if you're just starting out as a speaker, no matter where you live, find a local service club, Rotary, Kiwanis, Lions, high school. What high school is more difficult to get into? Write a pitch. You get 20 minutes to speak. If you don't have the wherewithal on your own, hire some university kids to come in, university students to come in, do a minimum of a two-camera shoot. So they're going to film you. And by the way, you're going to pay them just because they're students. It's not free. You pay them a lot less than a real videographer, though. Have them make a speaker's reel. Now you've got something to leverage, to show to people, to say, hey, this is what I've done. And you build and build and build on that. So you start wherever you are. That's free. They're not going to pay you to speak. You're not going to pay them to speak. Here's another way to do that. First of all, you've got to learn how to speak. You've got to learn to be articulate. You've got to learn to use sound bites instead of long stories. Media wants sound bites. In my negotiation program, we talk about sound bites. So watch this. Chris, I'm going to ask you, have you ever been on radio, on talk radio?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, watch this. Ladies and gentlemen, if you listen to talk radio, I mean, I'm not a particular sports fan. I don't know who was in the last World Series or Super Bowl. It's not my thing. When I used to listen to talk radio, I would find a station that appealed to me. Why? Because that's my audience. When you listen to talk radio, a typical guest is on for 20 minutes. They have 3 guests an hour on average, which means about 15 minutes talk time. 3 guests an hour, typical 3 shows on that station every single day. Follow the math on this. 5 days a week. Allow 50 weeks. Host gets 2 weeks off. That's nearly 7,000 guests they need every single year. Yeah, that's an eye opener. They need you more than you need them. Well, how do you pitch them? First, let me tell you what not to do. Don't be a pain in the ass. Hey, did you get my email the other day? No, don't do that. Give it at least 8 to 10 days, follow up on following up on the email. Don't bother to pitch the host. The host is the final decision maker, but it's the production team. When I used to do this, some of us remember yellow pages, big book, that thing, they were yellow pages. So find the producer. Today you go online, look at the producer. You need to know how to pitch them. Now, you think a best-selling book would help? Hey, by the way, I'm the author of this #1 best-selling book. Oh my goodness. You'd stand light years beyond anyone else who's pitching. So you must learn how to pitch. You write a release telling them not how wonderful and great you are. Don't take this personally, ladies and gentlemen. No one cares. Chris doesn't care what a nice guy I am. I mean, it kind of weighs in. When I talked to Chris about being here, having this interview, I told Chris what you, the audience, is going to get out of it. That's the art of pitching any host, live, interview, summit, webinar, whatever it is. Pitch what the audience is going to take away. You think a book helps? Yes. Do you think a speaker reel helps? Yes, especially if you're going to be on a live stage. They want to know that you're not going to, you sound like an idiot to their audience because your job is to make the host good. And I'm going to be totally transparent. That's why I'm engaging you, Chris, to get you involved in this. Could I talk for 4 hours nonstop without taking a breath? I might need some water, but any of us could. Nobody's going to tune in. So by engaging the host, when you make it to television, you better know how to be present, personable. If Chris and I did this and I'm out here, Chris is going to look at me and say, "Where the hell are you?" My gaze is all over the place. You look at the host. Well, I've been in the camera as Chris, and I want to acknowledge you because you're beautiful with this. You're right in the camera. So if you're on television, you look at the host or the audience. Don't let your eyes wander. These are some of the things we work for people so that they're stage ready, their presence, so they get invited to more things when we can introduce them.
Great tips, Richard. Thanks so much for that. Now I want to shift gears a little bit and I want to talk about your experience of finance in business. So, before this current business, you were a chiropractor. I don't know if you had any entrepreneurial experience before that, but when you first came to business, what was your knowledge of finance, both just on the personal level and inside of a business itself?
Pretty much zero. I was an electronics engineer first. I had a job, 9 to 5 or whatever it was. I did not grow up in a financially astute home. Uh, my father had a magnificent business, television, radio repair in Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, if anyone knows that. A great business. And then I went to Northeastern University, left that, went to Long Island University, New York University, and got a BS degree in business management. And that's just what it was. It was bullshit. I didn't learn anything that would serve me later on. I mean, our educational system sucks. When was the last time, Chris, someone asked you who was the 19th president of the United States, or the atomic weight of cesium? That's what we learn in school. I learned money by doing, by being, by getting out there and understanding. In the first part of my life, when I was a doctor and starting out to earn a lot of money, if I had it, I spent it. That's not a good way to build a reserve. Still have a great life. It was a lot different, a lot freer back then. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have to learn or work with people. And it's not my shtick, so don't reach out to me about that, but how to do money in your life, whether to save it. I mean, I make investments. So my wife and I went on the marketer's cruise. That's another thing we can talk about. Why? 450 entrepreneurs from around the world. Well, guess what? It's vacation, play, and business building. When you invest in those kinds of things, it's wonderful. Enjoy this life. Friend of mine in San Diego, very, very wealthy young man, wonderful family, young son. His young son just was in a horrible accident, sustained major brain damage. In spite of wearing one of these high-tech helmets, the impact was so great, it shattered the frickin' helmet.
Wow.
We don't know what's going on in our lives. You don't know. Ram Dass said it best, be here, or in my word, be here now. So enjoy life. Don't put everything back into the business, but enough to sustain you through some tough times, because we don't know what the economy is going to, whoever's president, economy is going to change. So invest enough in yourself, constant and never ending improvement, so you can learn how to serve more and more people. If you're about sucking the money out of the room, you're not a client for us, for example. Our clients are people who write things and publish things to serve humanity on a higher level. Show up there and watch what happens. It changes your life.
Yeah, I love that. Now you talked a little bit, or you just mentioned going on the cruise or the excursion with all the other marketers, and how important it is to continue to reinvest in yourself and up level your skills. And I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs know that. What can be challenging for them, I found, is kind of knowing when to do that or what to do with the money they're actually making in their business. So for you personally, how do you make that decision on how to allocate funds when you have them come in or when you have extra money flowing into the business?
I don't know what extra money means, Chris. Well, my wife and I will sit down and make evaluations that, what is important to us. So do we do road trips? Do we take vacations? Do we go visit people? Do we hang out? Yes to all the above. Always putting, in our case, it's a minimum of 10% that we put it aside, and that's sacred money. So it's there. Should there be a shortfall month? Should there be a challenge? Should, like my friend's kid, have a traumatic injury, and I don't wish that on anybody. So You must have enough to live your life and serve more people. I have a firm belief you can do more from a place of abundance than you can from a place of scarcity. So show up in abundance and watch what happens. And again, I use the metaphor. There are myriad speakers out there who will, speaker trainers would teach you how to suck the money out of the room. And I've heard some of them use that language. That's not a world that's comfortable for me. When you show up, we have a challenge at Top Talent Agency. We underpromise people. We'll always over deliver. I'd rather you go out on social media and say, man, Richard and they are great. Yeah, one of my clients reached out to me from high school, which is a long time ago for me. And she wrote a book and she invested in us. I told her I'd get it published in at least a book review she wanted. I'd get it in at least one newspaper. She was happy. We got her three. We got her three newspapers. What does it say to your credibility? That kind of person is the one I want to refer to us. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to concatenate that, bring it down, show up and serve, have enough money set aside that you can do the things that serve you in service and go out and play and serve as many people as you can. The money will follow. Someone wrote a book, Do We Do Love the Money Will Follow? Not always true, but it's a higher vibration to play at.
Excellent. Well put. Okay, Richard, now since you're already retired or semi-retired or out of retirement or however you want to call it, as you were saving up for your own retirement, did you have a written financial plan you were following? Did you have a strategy or what did that look like?
Chris, I didn't have either. Uh, it was ad hoc, and ladies and gentlemen, I do not advise that. Work work with someone who, again, it's not my gift, and I totally acknowledge that. So my wife, Angela, and uh, uh, by the way, her books, Bella Santini Chronicles. If you look up Angela, ANGELALEGH.com, you find three books are out there already. You'll see all the awards. Now we do this together. She comes from a more structured background where she does that kind of work. Find someone. If you have a personal relationship with that person, great. Business is easier because they can, get on your case without a relationship getting in the way. We don't have that. We work beautifully together. So find someone to work with, or just go online and study and learn and go back to constant and never ending improvement. Tony Robbins calls it Kaye, and he's big on that. And by the way, he puts 1 million people on his video walls when he does some of his programs. The guy kind of knows what he's talking about. We used to live a couple of miles apart. We were both in Southern California. Started working with him forever ago. So put your money where it matters. And, if you've got money sucking habits, see if you can get rid of them. Many people do. Put money growth habits, much better for you. And again, I'm not the guy to coach you in that, but if you want to talk about publicity, go to the website, talkaboutpublicity.com, and set up 30 minutes to explore how we can talk about some of the things we've already spoken about and get you. So people say, I choose you. That's what you want to do in business. You want people like my phone call from PBS. Really? You really PBS? Huh? I had hair back then, so I don't use that too much anymore.
Wonderful, Richard. I appreciate all that. Now, before I let you go, can you just give us some parting words or your best advice to all the entrepreneurs out there?
Yeah. Set a goal and be flexible enough to know, you see these memes all over Facebook. This is how we all envision business growth. This is how it really is. It's a pipe dream. The overnight wonder, what took 10 years to make success. Lately, I've seen pictures of, I guess it was Steve Jobs in a little desk in his office. That's where he started. One of my favorite quotes these days is from the Talmud, where it says, we don't see the world as it is, we see it as we are. So when you see someone going on, you don't know what their story is. We had dinner at a restaurant the other day, and it was a sushi place. And I said, yeah, sushi was kind of okay. And I found because the rice wasn't done properly. It was a little bit not sticky, it was dry. I said, I'd be willing to give him another chance. You want people to give you other chances. How do you show up in life? If you got a bad day and I was on something this morning and someone said the classic, you only get one chance to make a first impression. That's an old school line. Show up not the way you want to be treated, better than you want to be treated. Treat people that way. Watch your life transform. The vibration raises, your life transforms.
Wonderful. Richard Kaye from Top Talent Agency, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with my audience. I appreciate you being here today.
Thank you, Chris.
Of course. We'll see you all next time.
If you've listened this far, chances are you're an entrepreneur looking to become more financially literate and create financial freedom for yourself from your business.
The Pay Yourself First podcast.
Is definitely here to help with that. My goal is to continue to share what I've learned about using your business as the tool to create financial freedom. But let's face it, it would take me years to share with you everything you need to know via these episodes. Creating financial freedom is something that most people never even consider, let alone make a plan for or take action towards. It's something almost no one was taught anything about. Doing it as an entrepreneur is even more challenging, especially without support. So if you're ready to get clear on what financial freedom looks like for you, come up with an action plan, and get the support systems and accountability you need, I invite you to consider the Abundantly Infinite Entrepreneur. I created the program to help entrepreneurs just like you get a handle on their personal and business finances and start building confidently towards financial freedom. And it's how you can discover ways to take 10 years off your retirement, add an extra 5 or 6 figures to your portfolio, and finally get clear on what numbers you should be tracking in your business and why. Together, we'll gain clarity around your financial goals and what being financially free would actually look like for you. Then we'll put together a customized game plan to get you there and the accountability to see you through. And by the way, you're also going to get all the spreadsheets you need to run your numbers, lifetime access to the materials, including any updates, and entry into our members-only community. In addition to all the knowledge, coaching, community, and systems that you need to create financial freedom from your business, you'll also receive a free financial assessment, a retirement planning session, and guided meditation aimed at helping you embody the feeling of true financial freedom. So yeah, you can just listen to the free content on these podcasts to help you move towards becoming a financially free entrepreneur. And sure, you'll likely see some results, or you can make the decision to commit to learning, implementing, and embodying what you need to know to create the financially free life you dreamed of when you started your business journey. Click the link in the show notes to answer a quick questionnaire, and you'll be on your way to joining the Abundantly Infinite Entrepreneur.